Do not be blind. Do not be blind, said he, to the deficiencies of your nafs. Do not be blind to the deficiency or the deficiencies of your nafs, lest you will turn tyrannical. Lest you turn tyrannical. طاغية تصير طاغية تطغى. You become a طاغية, and a طاغية is a tyrant. طغى يطغى, the verb is to flow above in excess. إنا لما طغى الماء حملناكم في الجارية, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the story of Sayyidina Nuh, when Allah says, when the waters طغى حملناكم في الجارية, we carried you in the running vessel. And therefore, here it says, if we are forgetful, if we don't pay attention to our nufus, to what happens inside of us, that's where everything starts. And oftentimes we think we should indulge our feelings, no matter what they are. We should fulfill our feelings. Materialistic, secular psychology, sometimes, especially the Freudian psychology, is to do what? To your drives. Fulfill your drives. And all dreams you have are interpreted as somehow missing to fulfill certain drives, certain materialistic, sensual, personal, subjective drives. And they ascribe what they call psychological ailments to the lack of fulfilling your drives. That's Freudian, part of Freudian psychology, which has become with time, as time passed. It was, especially in the 100 years ago, in the early beginning of this last century, it was in vogue in the world. And the world changed like that to later become, that Freudian psychology now has become basically foolishness. But see how your minds, our minds, are changed by the ahwa of people. This is not mathematics. Behavioral psychology is not mathematics. It's an inexact field, if we call it science at all. They call it inexact science. You have the exact sciences versus the inexact sciences. Exact sciences such as math, physics, chemistry, etc. Psychology is not an exact science. They wanted to make it as an exact science by subjecting it to the tests of what they call experiments. But it is very, very subjective, and it has continued to be subjective. Forgive me to have deviated, but not so much, because that's a way by which we don't pay attention to the deficiencies of our nufus. Sometimes you are even taught that the deficiencies of our nufus, of ourselves, are actually assets. And then you have to believe that your, what we call shaitani drives, are necessary human drives that you have to fulfill. And if you know something about that Freudian psychology, every dream is interpreted as lack of fulfillment of sexual drives. جلها هكذا. نفس لا تعمى عن نقصان نفسك. Do not be blind to the deficiencies of your nafs, lest you become a tyrant. A tyrant, tyrannical, تطغى, you overflow. طغى, you overflow. You become excessive in the way you think, in the way you feel, in the way you speak, in the way you behave, in the way you react. You become excessive in the way you evaluate things. What is good and what is not good. تطغى. And that طغيان will lead the human being as a worst consequence to rebel against Allah Azza wa Jal and to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal in the name of a deficient nafs that the person considers as fulfilled and complete and mature and the guide of what he or she does in life.